Rabban in the case, sorry, Bayern. Rabbis of Katrin asked the following question. Yocha Makabel V'Mahalich. It's not really a question. They propose the following proposition. Yocha Makabel V'Mahalich Al Chometz. So means Makabel the blood and travels with the blood to Mizbeach. Al Chometz Yeh Chayev. Is he Chayev? Talmud Lomar Zevach. No, it has to be Zvicha. Ma Zvicha Miyuchedes Shechayovim Alea Bachutz. What's qualitatively important, significant about Zvicha, about Shchita? You're chayav on if you do Shchita Chutz, obviously. Yotz, as opposed to a Makabel v'Mahalich al Chometz, says Makabel the Dam, and Mahalich the Dam al Chometz, she'ein chayav and lein b'chutz. There's not such concept of doing Halicha and Zrika, Halicha and Kabbalah and Halicha b'chutz, right? And b'chutz you're the chayav in Shchita and Zrika, not in Kabbalah or Halacha.
So you can make a detour after the Shchita. Kabel the blood, Mahalach the blood outside, and then back inside?
No, the blood will become puzzle. But if you took a carbon and checked it outside, and you're chayev, if you did the zrik outside, you're chayev. But if you did the halacha and the kabbalah and halacha, I think even if you did for avodah zarah, you're also potter. For avodah zarah, also the chayev is on shchita and on zrika, not on halacha and kabbalah and halacha. Even though those are part of the four avodos. But vis-a-vis the halacha of shchutei chutz or shchita l'avodah zarah, it doesn't apply. So ma'azvirim yichel shchelim l'bachutz yotzim makabel v'amalech al chometz. Supposed to somebody who's makabel or mahalich on a chometz she'ein chelim bachutz. Yochla maktir murim al chometz yechayev. What if you're maktir murim on the chometz? Does that make you chayev? In other words, the kohen possesses chometz, so he does the murim. Talmud Lomar, it's a typo. The commentator says dam. It says dam. It has to be something which has to do with dam. And dam, of course, teaches us zrika. Ma zrika michechi makeves kapara. Just like dam has zrika, which is integral to the kapara. So to any which is integral to the kapara, yatsu hektar chalam is opposed to hektar murim. Shein v'makris the kapara. Hektar murim is not a necessary component for the kapara. So therefore, there's no problem there by the hektar murim of doing a possessive chometz at that time. Rabbi Yaakov bar Safti boikum Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yaakov bar Safti asked for Rabbi Yossi. Adadayin lo liptur. Instead of saying you're potter, duna l'chiyuv, say you're chayev. Let's say the following scenario. Now there's a little bit of a typo here too, which would be yochol hamaktiri murim. So instead of makabel malach, 4 lines down you have maktiri murim. That goes up here, makabel malach goes down there. To do a switcheroo here. Yochol hamaktiri murim al chometz ye potter. If you're maktiri murim al chometz, are you potter? Talmud Lomar zevach. No, I'll say zevach. Ma zvicha michedesh chayovin lebachutz. Just like zvicha is unique that you chayav on a chum bechutz. Afani abir aktor simurim shechayovin lebachutz. So to aktor simurim, it's like you're chayav and we do it outside the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, maybe it's in the parsha of Lo Tishchat al Chometz. And I'll say the opposite of what you said before as well. Yochol, and here it should be hamakabel v'mahalich. Somebody who's makabel mahalich the blood. Alad chometz yepot. You think he's going to be potter? No. Talmud Lomar again should say dam, right, instead of v'kiper. Say blood ma'ar zrika, just like the zrika which has to do with the dam. Miuchedes is unique in that she makeves the kapara, it's essential for the kapara. Afani Abra makabel v'mahalech. I'll also include makabel and halech. Shemai makris the kapara. The part of the 4 avodas which are essential to kapara and carbon. So if that's the case, Lamai said, how do you know to pater makti murim and makabel mahalech halachometz? I just proved to you I can use svaris, the exact opposite svaris of what you said, to be mechayev in both of them. So says Yerushalmi Armalei davar shava b'shneim malamid. You have to have 2 common denominators. Davar shava b'shneim means that which is common on 2 counts. Davar shava b'shneim malamid. Davar she'eno shava b'shneim. If it's not common on 2 counts, eno malamid. It's not similar. And what are those 2 counts? Zevach has to be a zevach and B also dam, even though it's not mentioned here explicitly, but it means be zevach and dam, both of them. What is the element we learn from zvicha, which is required for the kapara? And you're chayav on it and you're chayav on it b'chutz. Yotza mekabel v'ach is supposed to mekabel v'amalech shein chayav lehem b'chutz. Right, there's no chayav on them outside. And yotza ekter imorim, and it goes to precludes ekter imorim shein makvos the kapara, which do not impede the kapara. So therefore, from the fact that it says zevach and dam, we need both elements, which zevach and dam both have, which are the chayav lehem b'chutz and the makiv is kapara. So if it doesn't have both denominators, then it's not, then you're not chayiv if you shecht or do any, if you do that avoda in the possession of chametz in your midst. Okay? So it says Yerushalmi further. Talmud went over there. Beishamai Omrim, Beishamai says, this is an interesting thing, I don't think we have this in the Bavli and Pesachim. It seems like it's cross-reference in Beitz on the Yerushalmi, but I don't think we have in the Bavli. Beishamai, Sor Kazayis, on a sort if you have sourdough, the Isser is a Kazayis. Chametz.
This is Tuesday night.
Oh, you went to Kins? Oh, I said that since we're not giving I'm sorry. I didn't make that clear, obviously. I said since I'm not giving the early shiur because the dinner they were going to have it here. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. When did you leave? You left before Maury spoke or after Maury spoke? Oh, that's how I left too. Yeah. Okay. That's kind of wild goose chase. I apologize for that. So we're talking about stuff with Yechayev and Shchutei. We're talking about stuff with Yechayev, Shchutei, Chutz. Now we're starting a new Shchutei, Lotzishchat al Chometz. What I've avoided is now we're starting a little bit of a new thing, not a little bit, a major new thing because it doesn't appear in the Bavli. Where it says Tamatim b'Shamei Omrim. Tamatim b'Shamei Saor Kazayis Chometz Koseves. The shiur of Saor is a Kazayis. The shiur of Chometz is a Koseves. Saor is sourdough. Chometz is just leavened, stuff which is fermented. So it's interesting. The shiur here is mentioned as a koseves. In the Bavli, we don't have such a concept. Bavli was never mechali. Koseves. Who knows what koseves? Yom Kippurim, right? No such thing as a koseves. No, don't we? The Yerushalmi is not going to like this either. Beisilmim zeves kazayis. They're both a kazayis. Rabbi Zrika b'shem Rabbi Yisrael Rechina said lo shanel biuro. It's still interesting, but not as big a chiddush. Yechayev and Achila on a Kazayis, both of Kazor and of Chometz. The question is, what shiur you have to be mevar? You have to eradicate. So that he says, the Berbir Chometz, the shiur is Rabbi Shimei says, the shiur of Chometz is a Koseves, larger, Aval Achila Kazayis. V'avov Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yochanan says, no, Bein lebiuro, bein lechila kazayis. The shiur is always kazayis. Now here, there's a major question as to the girsa. Lieberman leaves the girsa kazayis, and he may, in order to explain the following Gemara, he says there must be a shita, a long lost shita, which was not mentioned explicitly here, but in order to explain the next line, that you chayav on chometz even for less than a kazayis. Okay. The daraisa we're talking about here, chayev, not just aser, be daraisa. But the pashtus, I would say, is like the korban ha'eda. The korban ha'eda says that the proper change is to make the change here. Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yochanan says bein lebiro bein lachila kikoseves. The shiur is a koseves. Okay. Now based on that, come Raimon Rabbi Chizkiah. Ramona came and met Rabbi Chizkiah. Amalei, so he said, Minon Shama Rebbe Hada Milsa. From where did you hear this? This concept? Amalei Rabbi Avo. So he said, I heard from Rabbi Avo. Amalei, so he said back to him, Va'anan Amrin. We say, not like you. Rabbi Avo b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said, it should be. The next few words should be according to Korban Ha'eda, L'biuro b'koseves la'achilo kizayis. The biuro is koseves and achilo is kizayis. Meaning you said koseves on both. We heard not that way. We heard that the biuro is koseves and achilo is kizayis. So he changed the gears to previously to koseves, and therefore here when he comes to argue, he says that the biuro is koseves. That's true, but the achilo is kizayis. Not like you said that the achilo is koseves.
I can see the reason for the comparison to Koseves with Yom Kippur.
What? Yeah, but the thing is there, it has to do with being Meshiv, what is it, it's not Inui. In other words, Kazais, you're still torturing yourself. It's a shiur of Achil, it's not still torture yourself. It's still torture yourself until you do a Kosevis, then it's no longer Inui Nefesh, because it's Miyashiv the Nefesh. But here it's nothing to do with Nefesh, it has to do with the shiur of Achil, so because it's like the rest of the Torah. It is, I think it's very difficult, the concept of Kosevis. Of course, yeah, I can understand the comparison that there's an ownership on the Achil of course, and here's an ownership of course, but it doesn't seem that integrally there's any connection. Okay, Shach al Chometz. When you Shech al Chometz, when you Shech the Korban Pesach al Chometz, Achar Miyat Mahalich. Who do you go by? Achar Chilaso, Achar Biuro. Do you go after the shiur of Achila, which is a Kazayis, or the shiur of a Biur, which is a Kosevis? Type of question, Yerushalmi of course doesn't answer. Goes on to the next question. Talmud Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Shem Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, "Neighbor Rabbi Zera, we had this early in the Masech, a lot earlier. Shnei chatzos saying b'soch habayis. If you two have seisim in the house, and a bayis mitzvah, if the house is not joined them together. B'soch hakeli, if the two have seisim within the same keli, a kli mitzvah, the kli does join them together. Shachtu aleim. What if he shecht on two half seisim? Me'achar sheilu b'toch habayis. Now, since when they're in the house, they ain't abayis mitzvah. If the house is not joined together, you're potter. Or since they're doing the kli is mitzvah them, you are chayiv. Again, the Gemara doesn't answer, but it's interesting. The Yerushalmi seems not to care where they are right now. As long, it seems like the question is wherever the two have zaysim, you can own one in New York and one in Timbuktu. But the thing is that since they could be mitzvah, so monetarily you have ownership of chametz. Do you see what I mean? That's the question. Do I go after actual tziruf, in which case they actually have to be in the same keli in order to be chayiv? Do I say this is not a question of eating? It's not even a question about Yeroy by Motzei. It's a question of possession and chametz at the time of Shech the Korban Pesach. It's called possession, as long as they could be mitzvah, even though right now they're not mitzvah in any way, shape, or form. Of course, Yerushalmi doesn't answer that question, whether that's the case or not. Next question: Shachtu ala shiur. If you shechted on this dough which has begun cracking but is not fully chametz yet. Me'achar dam Rav Huna b'shem Rav says, "What's the name Rav? Mutza achilu kalva. You're allowed to give it to your dog to eat." Part to you exam from lo sishchat al chametz dam zivchi, because obviously it's mutter and hanoah. Or me'achar the Rav amar lokim achilas, because Rav said you have malchus on eating it. Of course, not kores, but malchus. So maybe it's ready to be sufficient sufficiently called chametz that you transgress lo shishcha chametz dam zivchi, and you should be chayav. And of course, the Yerushalmi does not answer that question either. New sugya. Hashem elokish omer ad sheyeh l'shoichet or l'echad mibnei chabura. Has to be that the guy who's shechting has the chametz and he's also a member of the chabura. Has to be both. Rabbi Yochanan, no, l'shochet, to a guy who's shechting, if it's a kohen, let's say, aval pi she'eino mibnei chabura, even though he's not one of the members of chabura. Or l'echad b'nei chabura, one of the b'nei chabura has the chametz, aval pi she'eino shochet, even though he's not the shochet. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, afilu noson imo b'Yerushalayim. New issue. Rabbi Yochanan says it's even if the chametz is in Yerushalayim, not in the Azara. Rishim Elokish Amar ad she'nosin imo b'Azara. Rishim Elokish says it has to be with him in the Azara. Now there's a couple ways to explain this machlokas. The one way of explaining machlokas is that it says lo tishchat al chametz dam zivchi. So what does al mean? Does al mean samuch? Not just that you have it, also that you're adjacent to it, or does it just mean that you possess it somewhere? So according to Rabbi Yochanan, it means you possess it somewhere, even if it's Yerushalayim. Rishim Elokish holds it has to be dafka al, literally next to you in the Azar at the time you shech. That's one interpretation, but there's another interpretation. We can say that it follows the following machlokas. The way I just explained is the way the Bavli explains it. The way the Yerushalmi explains it, President Malacha over the course of 2 Yom Tovim Magolus. He had the same Malacha both days in a row, right? He was Choresh and then he was Choresh again the next day. Rabbi Yochanan Makabli Nasra Safik, very famous Machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan says, Hasra Safik, Shema Asra. Each day we give Asra. Yankel, if you plow today, maybe you'll be Chayiv. And the sum total of 2 days is that he definitely transgressed this. So between the 2 days we can give him Malchus, right? Rabbi Shimon Logishmar Emakayv and Asra Safik, what the Bavli calls Asra Safik Lav Shema Asra. Yeah, at the time you give him that story, you have to have a definitiveness that if he does the malacha now, he's going to transgress the avera. So what's an afkamina vis-a-vis our case? Hakol modim, everybody reads Shema Yon Nosum Kinegdo. Now here Liebman throws in a whole line because it really makes no sense the way it's written. Hakol modim Shema Yon Nosum Kinegdo. The next words I'm adding are from Lieberman. Ba'azara Shuchayev. So everybody agrees if the Masra sees that Yankel, the Shoichet, or Yankel, the member of the Chabura, has Chametz and Nazara, so of course Nazara is a Vada Yatzra. Of course you give him Malchus. What's the difference between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Reish Lakish? Don't look inside, it's not there yet. Hoya Nasu Kinegdo, it was opposite him. Now here, pick it up. Bachalom b'Yushalayim, which I see see through the window, I see Chametz in Yerushalmi, right? So Mandamar Safek, here if you say that the Shaila is Asra Safek Shema Asra, so it's not Asra Safek, right? Vadayu, you see it's right opposite you see it through the window. Mandamar Ba'azar, he says that the issue is not Asra Safek Shema Asra or not, but rather the issue is whether it's it must be B'samuch or not. So is this B'samuch? No. You know he has it, but it's not an Azara. So then it would not be suitable for the Malchus of Lo Zishchan. So again, there are two ways of explaining Machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. One is that they argued about Al B'Samuch. The other is where they argued about Asra Safek Shema Asra. The nafkamina between those two cases, the case where he definitely knew he had Chametz, but he was outside the Hazara. So if you it's Asras Vadai, but it's outside the Hazara, so you would have a difference of opinion in Reish Lakish whether you hold this Malchus or not. In Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish whether you hold this Malchus or not. Okay. My time with the Rabbi Yehuda. What's the logic of Rabbi Yehuda? What's the pasuk? Rabbi Yehuda teaches us that if you shech the Tomei in Erev Pesach and you possess Chametz, then you're chayev, because it says dam zivchi. Even though the Kri is zivchi, the Mikra is zivchi, the Masorah says zvachai, plural, right? Zvachai, with you can be read my zvachim. So dam Pesach v'dam Tamid, two bloods, the blood of Pesach and the blood of the Tamid. Okay, so I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Time Rabbi Shimon. What's the pasuk of Rabbi Shimon? Now Rabbi Shimon gave this whole complicated thing that Pesach on Erev Pesach you transgress you v'shechtet lishma, and now you v'shechtet shelo lishma. And on Chol Hamoed it's the exact opposite. V'shechtet Pesach lishma, so it's possible it's no good, and therefore you don't transgress so Zishcha Chametz Dam Zivchi. V'shechtet Pesach shelo lishma and Chol Hamoed, then it is considered to be a shlomim, and then you do not. You do transgress those tishchai rochametz dam sivchi. So Rabbi Yochanan is going to analyze the sheet of Rabbi Shimon. I'm Rabbi Yochanan, time Rabbi Shimon. Kosav echad omer lo tishchat rochametz dam sivchi. One person says, do not shecht on the chometz, the blood of my carbon. Kosav echad omer lo tishlo tizbach rochametz dam sivchi. The other one says lo tizbach rochametz dam zivchi. Now one of these psukim is talking about Pesach, because the first part says lo tishlo chometz dam zivchi, says immediately after lo yolin laboker zeva chaga Pesach. Do not transgress, but lo solin on that. So we see there's a linkage. Both of these things are going on the Korban Pesach. Okay, but the other pasuk doesn't specify Korban Pesach. It just says lo tizbach chometz dam zivchi. So echad Pesach bar basar, echad sharkos varim chol moed. So one of them is going on the Pesach on the 14th day, and this one is going on all other karbanos on Chol Hamoed. Mar isel rabam b'chol shmoed. Why only chayav if it's Chol Hamoed? Lo timin arbasar, and you're not chayav if it's the 14th day. I'll tell you why. Acha shariba akasav v'miit. The pasuk has a ribui, and the pasuk has a miyut. Now, without boring you, the Bnei Moshe, I'm not going to bore you because I get bored by this. Bnei Moshe does not. Bnei Moshe goes into how exactly what's the ribui, what's the ribui, and what's the miyutim. But each pasuk has a ribui and each pasuk has a miyut. Okay, so me'achar shariba kasul miyit. Marbani b'chol sam b'chol shemoyed. I'd say you're going to be chayav on more things than chol moed. Very interesting svara. Why is that? So he says on chol moed it's more likely you're going to transgress lo tishchat. Why is that? Because shuba by ra by motzi, because you're already chay by ra by motzi, as opposed to motzi or mer basar, supposed to 40 days ain't by ra by motzi. I do not yet have a iser by ra by motzi until nightfall. Right? Even in the afternoon, the issue of having chometz only the Rabbana, not the Raisa. Right? We heard that earlier in the Masechta. So therefore, he holds, Rabbi Shimon, according to this line of reasoning, holds on Erev Pesach. The only thing I'm chayiv on shechting on chometz is Pesach, because I want to limit my chiddush. Because there's no bayra by matzah daraisa. The whole concept is such a great chiddush. Ein l'chabo el chidusho. He only applied to the most limited scope. The most limited scope to apply to is korban pesach proper, nothing else. But in chometz, I transgress bayra by matzah. So that's a carte blanche to extend the prohibition of shechting karbanos al chometz to any of the karbanos, including shlamim or any all sorts of karban. Okay. Says Yerushalmi further. Ramana said, Lohain, therefore, dichsiv zeva chaga pesach, when it says zeva pesach, our boss are I mean, that's talking about specifically on the 14th day of Nisan, because that's that now. That means that I'm only chayiv on our basar on the 4th. I'm only chayiv on shechting the Pesach when I possess chometz on the 14th day of Nisan, when it's Zevach Chag Pesach, but already when it's on the Chol HaMoed, so I'm not chayiv shechting l'shem Pesach again because it's a current apostle as we mentioned previously. Rabbi Yochanan says Chabura is a maksha. So Chabura asks a very interesting question. Now Rabbi Yochanan is a very unique shita here. Not like the Bavli, and not like the Yerushalmi later on. The truth is, Yerushalmi itself later on would say, Na'ayah agrees with Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan holds you don't need Akira to uproot a Korban Pesach to be a Shlamim. We always held you need Akira. You have to specify it's no longer Korban Pesach. Rabbi Yochanan does not hold that way. That's going to have interesting ramifications right now. Let's see inside. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, Chabur Yisamak Shemanake, what are you talking about? Im B'Shava V'nim Tis Kohen Kapara, when it's Shechtin the Pesach Chol HaMoed. What are we talking about? If it was lost and found prior, it was lost on Erev Pesach, then you set aside another one, and then you found the first one. So now you shecht either one, right? One of the two. Im shava nitzitz kohen kapar bein lishmo ve'bein shelo lishmo. When you shecht it on Chol HaMoed, whether you shecht l'shem Pesach or not, it's possible. It says kosher, I know, but it's supposed to be possible. In that case, you need to be oker and shame. You need to do akira on it. You need to do akira, it's possible. V'nita akuriya, it's what you have to do is you have to graze it, wait till it gets a mum, sell it, and then use the money to buy another one. So in that case, clearly, you need to do akira. If you didn't do akira, and then you shech l'shem Pesach, it's possible. Even shech l'shem shlamim, it's still possible because you have to do akira, and at the very, very least akira, and preferably you should just put out the pasture and graze it, get some woman, then sell and buy something else. However, in Mishava v'nimtza la'achar kapara, if it got lost, you found it only after you sacrificed the other Korban Pesach, your spare on Erev Pesach, ben lishmo, ben shelo lishmo, regardless of when then you shechted it on Pesach, lishmo v'shelo or l'shelo lishmo, it is kosher, kashlamim. See, here's where he holds it on now, Akira. If you shechted another Korban Pesach while this one was lost, then it doesn't require Akira. Right. So then they don't need Akira in that case. So they don't need Akira. So he says Manavshach. When do you? What's Rabbi Shimon's? His question is that which it says in the Mishnah that on Yontif. When you shecht the Korban Pesach Chol HaMoed, if you shecht it lishmo, you're potter. If you shecht it shelo lishmo l'chayav, what's that talking about? If it's a scenario where you require akira, so regardless whether shechted lishmo or shelo lishmo, it's possible. And you don't. It doesn't make a difference if lishmo or shelo lishmo. If it's the area which does not require akira, then it's automatically shlamim. So again, if shechted lishmo or shelo lishmo, it's already kosher as a shlamim. A shlamim shel shechted shelo lishmo is kosher. So why would you not be chayav regardless? So you should be pot regardless or chayav regardless. It shouldn't make a difference whether you shechted lishmo or shelo lishmo, as the Mishnah implies. That shouldn't make a difference. The Kaimine says, Rabbi Yochanan, I sustain the usual, the Mishnah. It's talking about B'shenit mubaylim Moshe Yizidu. It's talking about when the owners became Tomei and Pesach Rishon, even B'mezid. Kvar nidchel Pesach Sheni. So the Pesach was not pushed off from being a Pesach. It's still suitable for Pesach Sheni. You might still need it, right? So therefore, then it depends. Lishmo, if you then try Lishmo on Chol Moed, Potter, because Chol Moed it's not the time, it's a Pesach, but it's the wrong time for the Pesach. It's either you down here. So therefore Potter, because it's possible. Shelo Lishmo, if you shechted Shelo Lishmo, Chayev, right? Because the Pesach can be brought Shelo Lishmo as something else on Chol Moed, Vu kosher, and that's a kosher korban. Vaidunu. So now ask the Gemara. Lishmo, it should be not potter but chayev. We're going to learn like the Gilyon Ephraim. You say, I don't understand, says Gilyon Ephraim. Or I don't understand, says more according to Gilyon Ephraim. That, how could that be? If you shech the l'shem Pesach, I'm sorry. The question is, if I don't l'shmo chayev, that's the way to read it. It's bitviya. I don't understand. If you shech l'shem Pesach, we just said l'shmo l'shalo l'shmo chayev v'u kosher, right? L'shalo l'shmo chayev. How could that be? It's still a Pesach. It's still a Pesach because it's so for Pesach Sheni. And if you shechted it on a Pesach during Chol Moed, whether you pair shechted lishmo or shelo lishmo, right? It should be potter because it's not a valid it's not a valid korban. Again, if you just got through saying we're talking about guys nidchel Pesach Sheni, it's nidchel Pesach Sheni, it's still a suitable Pesach. It's still a kosher Pesach. So a kosher Pesach to shecht on Chol Moed for any other purpose is improper. So therefore, it should be a bad korban, and it should be potter from Lo Tishchat Chametz Dam Zivchi, right? So that's the question. Again, he changed the gear. So, Vaidunu Lishmo Chayev, can you judge in this case? Lishmo is Chayev, the Lishmo is Chayev? Says Maria. Tamar Ramin B'Shem Rav Chizda, they said a Gevaldik Chap. Well, not such a Gevaldik Chap, but it's a nice Chap. Tamar Ramin B'Shem Rav Chizda, Taim Rav Chizda, K'she'avra Shnasa Ben Rishon L'Sheni. This is about a case where you are chayav Pesach Sheni, but this animal cannot be your korban, because this animal became 1 year old between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, meaning on Chol Moed, or maybe not even Chol Moed, maybe even as long as it becomes 1 year old between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, it's nidcher from being a Pesach Sheni. That's a case in which hypothetically it never became a shlamim, but nevertheless it can't be used for Pesach Sheni. So therefore, if you shechted it, shelo lishmo, you're chayav. Why is that? Because of course it's a proper korban. It can't be a Pesach. You're chayav. Rabbi Lo Tamar Amin Bavel is. I'm sorry. Rabbi Lo b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Lo said name Rabbi Yochanan. Now this is a little bit difficult. He says b'sheibers man kaparoso. Now nobody knows exactly what that means. But Rabbi Yochanan is saying, according to the way the Gilyon Ephraim learns, is that we're talking about a case where there were two korbanos Pesach and Erev Pesach, and he used one of them, right? So you don't have to make Pesach Sheni. And in this case, it's Rabbi Yochanan L'Shita who holds that in that case the akira is automatic. We don't pass it that way. We paskin need akira mamish. That's what I told you before. Rabbi Yochanan paskin akira is automatic as long as it's copper with another one. So that's a case in which you shechted lishmo, this Pesach lishmo on Chol Moed, and and you're chayiv, right? Because you're already niskapa with another Korban Pesach, right? So therefore, this became ois Pesach. That's where you're chayiv. Now, Pesach she'iber zmano, a Pesach whose time passed, meaning that you raised the skapa with another one, v'shachto, and you shechted it, lishmo, for the right reason, bizmano, on Erev Pesach, I think that is. Yeah, a Pesach which was she'iber's mana. Let's say you had still it was Erev Pesach, and you ran this. You lost one, set aside another one, found the first one, you got in it. You still have a second one. Now you shech the second one on Erev Pesach. So Pesach she'iber's mana v'shachto lishmo, ushel lishmo bizmano on Erev Pesach. Oh, or another case, you shech acherem lishmo, you shech other shlamim. L'shem Pesach bizmano on Erev Pesach. Rabbi Lezer posel, Rabbi Yeshua machshir. Lezer pasels, and Rabbi Yeshua's machshir. Now here, posel and kosher means what does it mean again? It has to be the korban itself, right? Let's see if that's true. Rabbi Lezer posel, kushoche pesach shem shlamim. Yeah, because left it's still pesach. You share the shem shlamim without the benefit of an akira. So of course it's going to be a puzzle. Yeshua machshir shu kushoche shlamim shem pesach. Yeshua holds like Rabbi Yechida. It doesn't require an akira. Because already in this kaper. So therefore it's like shlamim shlamim shem pesach. It's a valid korban. You came and she'iber's mano lo shania, because once it passes the time, it no difference. Here I show you Pesach Shem Shlami. It's the same thing Pesach Shech Shem Shlami. No, once it's a kasha. One second. I goofed. Apologize. Minor mistake. Let's go take it from the top of the Omer again. Pesach Shiber's man of a shachto. Pesach Shiber's man of a shachto means it was a candidate for last year, and you didn't use it for last year, and now it's a new year. It's a year later again. Okay.
But it's over 1 year old.
The Gemara is going to talk about that. We're going to get that. Pesach she'iber's mano v'shachto lishmo yishech lishmo bezmano, right? Yishech lishmo bezmano the following year. O sheshachat achem lishmo, or you shechted one of the other korbanos l'shem Pesach on Yudalid, right? Not the Pesach she'iber's mano, but another korban. Rabbi Lezer posel. Rabbi Lezer says it's possible. Rabbi Yeshua machshir. Rabbi Yeshua Lezer posel shu kashori Pesach shem shlomim. Say the Yerushalmi Pesachim shem shlomim. Yeshua machshir shu kashochi shlomim shem Pesach shechli shlomim shem Pesach, which is kosher. Why? Mikaim and shavar zman lo shanya. Once this man is passed, even though it's Erev Pesach. Washochi Pesach shem shlomim. Shechli Pesach shem shlomim. Washochi shlomim shem Pesach. It's all kosher. Now, daited Reb Chisda. According to Rav Chisda, this works out. How does it work out? It's not talking about the next Pesach. It's talking about Pesach Sheni. B'she'iber shnaso ben Rishon l'Sheni. You might think it's next Pesach. So the same thing is true if it's Pesach Sheni, right? Al daiti the Rebbe Law b'shem Rabbi Yechanan. That's talking about b'she'iber zman kaparoso. It's talking about that the issue is even if it's not a year older, it's when you. If it's not a year older, right? You're mechaper with another one. That's right. It's not a year older. You're mechaper with another one. Again, Rabbi Yochanan to Rabbi Lonne. Rabbi Yochanan said at the bottom of the page we had a machlokas between. In the bottom of the previous psalm, we had a machlokas between Rabbi Chisda and Rabbi Lonne and Rabbi Yochanan what the scenario is in which you could be chayav lishmo on Chol Pesach. So Rabbi Chisda said it's talking about when it's going to be too old by the time we reach Pesach Sheni. Rabbi Yochanan says it's talking about where the Bailim are mechaper with another one in Pesach, and it's l'shitasa that it doesn't require akira. So now we take this machlokas Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Lezer, where Rabbi Yeshua's machshir a Pesach which is shechta l'shem shlamim on some later date, and he says it's kosher. How can it be a kosher korban? So according to Rav Chisda, it's talking about case b'shor b'shnotzo. It's over shnotzo, it's no longer a Pesach, it's a shlamim. So therefore, yeshech l'shem Pesach, it's no different than any other shlamim, yeshech l'shem Pesach, and it's kosher. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's still less than a year old. It's talking about a case where the Bailim and Iskapa with another one, right? So Bailam and Iskapa another one. So why is this one a shlamim? Again, because of his shita, because once you're in Iskapa with another one, it becomes a shlamim. Now on this, the Gilin Ephraim says, so according, but wait a minute, it sounds like we're talking about a subsequent Pesach after you're wearing mechaper. I understand, according to Rav Chisda, we're talking about Pesach Sheni. It's talking about the missed Pesach Rishon. It's going to do Pesach Sheni, right? And over Shnaso in the middle. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, how could Rabbi Yochanan say? How could Rabbi Yochanan talk about a following Pesach? The following Pesach is going to be more than a year old anyway. So his answer is not necessary. His answer, which is talking about the Kibru Bailim Ba'acher, it's not necessary anyway. It's over Shnaso. So he says it's talking about a case. It's going according to the sheet that holds that the year of a Pesach is 365 days, whereas the year for between Pesach and Pesach could sometimes be as little as 354 days. So that's why it's still not a year old by Mosa Chama, even though it's a year old already by it's not by a solar year, even though it already is by a lunar year. Then he brings out another answer.
They don't go by the Zman of the it's like horses automatically become a year older after a certain.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, he will go by a year on the clock. Okay, 7. So you can still make it. Good point. It has to be 7, but you can still make it. And that's only if you don't know the Kol Chadashim. I think you know Kol Chadashim. No, I think that's not true. 7 days. Okay. HaPesach Nishra b'shlosh kitos. The Pesach is shechted in 3 groups. Shneimar it says v'shachtu also kol kahal adas Yisrael. Kahal v'adav Yisrael nishchata. It's shechted in those 3 groups. Nichlas say nichneses kahal kas Yisrael. The first group comes in, nismalis hazor, and the hazor becomes full. Nalu tal closes hazor, so they close the doors. Taku variu v'taku, so they blew shofar. HaKohanim holding shuros Kohanim would stand rows by rows via day and bazichei kesef, and in their hands they would hold goblets of silver, or bazichei zohar, pitchers of silver, bazichei zohar, pitchers of gold. Shuros shekula kesef, a row which is completely of silver, kesef is completely silver. Shuros shekula zohar, a row which is completely of gold. Lo yimuravin, they would not mix. The pitchers did not have bases. Shema yinichum v'yikra, they would put him down and the blood would congeal. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi said, Nitan koch b'koilo shel Moshe. Fascinating Gemara. Moshe was given great strength in his voice. His voice boomed throughout Mitzrayim 40 days, at a distance of 40 days. Because we just had in the Bavli and Daf Tzadik Dalet that Eretz Mitzrayim was 40 parsos and 40 parsos. 400 parsos and 400 parsos. And a person can walk in a day 40 parsos. 10 parsos. Sorry, 10 parsos, 40 mil. 10 parsos, 40 mil. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu's voice had to travel for 40 days. 400 parsos, okay? So what do you say? What great thing is Moshe Rabbeinu saying? So of course that has to be something halachic. From southern Egypt, a third of the way up, they're one kas. Even in Mitzrayim it holds that the Pesach was nishchat in sholosh kitos. Right? From some place to some place, kas achas, makom ploni kas achas. Right? He would divide up in kitos. Do not be astounded that his voice traveled. Ma'avak, because amazing proof. Ma'avak, dust, she'ain darko lahalech, which doesn't spread. Akmar, you say, v'yala avak v'chol eretz Mitzrayim. It was dust over the entire land of Egypt. Kol she'darko lahalech, a voice which does spread naturally. Lokosh can certainly spread over all of Egypt. Okay? Just like Moshe had strength, his voice traveled all over Egypt. 40 days distant. What did he say? Leave my nation. From here, before you were my avodim, now I'm releasing you, now they are avodim of God. At that time they said, Hallelujah, Lu Avdei Hashem, V'lo Avdei Paro. Right, that's the first step, Mizmor Tehillim, which opens up Hallow. You know, guys, do you mind going a little bit over time since we're behind? So please, maybe we should leave and go on the high school-based matters because we're going to have Marv here in a few minutes. We'll go to the Mishnah actually, then we'll leave. Tani Tamid Sheyesh Lo Nesachim. A Tamid which has Nesachim, Tokum Nesachim. Every korban Tamid had, they used to blow shofar, but they used to blow when they did the libations. Pesach Shein Lo Nesachim, Tokum Shchita, so you blow shofar time of Shchita. Dilma, Zemaisa. Rabbi Zira, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Ravina, Avel, Yasvin, they were sitting. Ravina say, you know why they made rows completely of gold, completely of silver? Because otherwise people would fire mouth. Are you confident about that? Amalei Rabbi Zira, and the Gillian Ephraim, Lieberman both say Rabbi Zira was a kohen. He said, Emor leba paugus puach. Don't say it with a full mouth. Either means don't say it with confidence or say it silently. It's not nice to cast aspersions on Kohanim. Saying that the Kohanim were Ramoyim, it's not nice, right? So, however, as Rabbi Yochanan said, Takam ibnei Ramoyim. These are this way is because of the cheaters. They're going to go and steal. Okay. Now we still have a couple minutes to do the next mission. Shachar Yisrael v'kibul kohen. A Yisrael shechts, and the kohen is mekabel. There's the chaver, and they form a bucket brigade, as we mentioned, gives it to his friend, chaver l'chavero. Mekabel samoli, you take the full pitcher, umastas rate, and give back the empty pitcher. Connect kohen hakorba, it's the one which is close to mizbeach. Zorko zrika achas connected, so he tosses it once opposite the yisod, like this. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. One pasuk says, Ach b'chor shor, b'chor kesev, or b'chor eis, the b'chor of an ox, a sheep, or a goat, loti podeh shna b'yudim, kodesh shem, they are holy, vestamam tizrok al mizbech. You should throw their blood in mizbech. Kasev echor omer, b'dam zevachecha, yishafech, not thrown, but spilled al mizbech Hashem elokecha. Im shvicha lamas, which one is it? Im shvicha lamas zrika. If it's shvicha, why it says zrika? In zrika lamas shvicha. If it's zrika, why it says shvicha? Make up your mind. Tani, we learned yishafech. The truth is you throw the blood. The truth is you throw it. However, what do we do with the word yishafech? Lo yatif. You shouldn't dribble it. Yishafech lo yazeh. You shouldn't sprinkle it. Sprinkles with your finger. Zrikos with the pitcher. Yishafech lo whoops. Time out. I think I made a mistake. No, Yishafech is different. I did make a mistake. When it says Yishafech, it's taka, different procedure than Zrika. That's what it's saying here. In Shvicha Lam Zrika, in Zrika Lam Shvicha, it's two separate. That really the thrust of that question was, which one is it? No, the thrust of that question is what's the difference between Zrika and Shvicha? I apologize. And now we're saying what the difference is. Yishafech means you shouldn't dribble it. You shouldn't drip. Yishafech lo yazeh, you shouldn't sprinkle with your finger. Yishafech lo yizrok, you shouldn't throw it either. So whenever it says yishafech, it's not to be zorek. Upirish beKabbalah, and it says in the Kabbalah in Navi, an amazing thing. I don't know what to do with this pasuk. I assume it's a pasuk somewhere. It says, Kohanim zorkim es adam miyad haLevim. The Kohanim take the blood from the Leviim and they throw it. My shaila is, how the heck did the Leviim get into this picture? There ain't no Leviim with the blood. Leviim, they only sing and do the gates. But here it's called the Leviim who bring the blood. The Kohanim bring the blood Leviim. I guess maybe because they're malava the blood, they accompany it. I don't know exactly. It says that the Kohanim would take the blood in the pitchers from the Leviim, quote unquote, and they're the ones who do the Zrika Saddam. Okay?
Well, the lady could carry the blood, couldn't he, in the cleat?
No, wasn't it? It's a Avodah. It's done by the Kohanim. The 4 Avodos. Kabbalah, Allah, it's all done by Leviim. So I have by the Kohanim.
First case of lady from Kohen.
Yeah. Hakomodim, everybody agrees with Shvicha Diachein. That Shvicha is, that it's literally what it means. It says pour. You pour the thing down. And Azoya Diachein. And everybody agrees that Azoya, whatever it says, V'zoa Saddam, it's with the finger. Right? Everybody agrees with that. Ma pleading b'zrika. The shaila is what the definition of zrika is. Right? Mona mar zrika kein shvicha. In other words, we saw what yishafech means. We also know what azoya is. When it says in Torah Yizorek, zrika sadam, how does zrika sadam work? Right? Mona mar zrika kein shvicha. Rabbi Chanina mar zrika kein azoya. Right? Mona says it's similar to shvicha, and Rabbi Chanina says zrika is kein azoya. Now, what does that mean? It means you take a pitcher. The question is what you do with the pitcher. Do you go like this with the pitcher? When you do zrika with the pitcher, is it like shvicha, which means you go like this? Or is it like hazoya, which means you go like this? That's the question. Because hazoya is like this, right? You move, and zrika and shvicha is like this. So when you do zrika, it's like shvicha, which means one gesture, one sweep. Or is it like hazoya and that you dribble it to somewhat and where you toss it? So it's machlokas. Right? Mona mazrika and shvila, Rabbi Chanina mazrika kein hazoya. Rabbi Yochanan bar Maria, kroya misai Rabbi Chanina. The pasuk is like Rabbi Chanina. Says ki mei nida lo zarakolov tamei yev goymer. Says by persons being mechaper by paraduma, when the mei nida has not yet been thrown on him, he's tamei. Well, by made nida, by the paraduma water, it says explicitly that it's called hazah. So we see hazah and zrika are linked. Hadai lo kayan gabo hazaya. Here, it's not clear the word dai lo, or it's one word, 2 words, when it means we're told we called this something previously. We called it here previously hazaya. Di lo kayan gabo. Di lo. I don't know. It means this thing next to it. You call it Hazaya, you call the Rei Hazaya. Zrika here according to Zrika, it must be Zrika and Hazaya are similar. So when you do Zrika, you go like this. Not go like that, one fell swoop, but you do it in spurts. Alright, let's go to the other base matter. This works here. I don't know where it says that Leviim. I looked around to see if anybody comments on the Leviim usage, but I couldn't see anybody comment on it. So it's very strange. Okay, so next Mishnah. Yotza Kasu Shoyim. The first group went down, and Nichnas Shnia, the second group comes in. Yotza Shnia, Nichnas Shlish, the second group goes out, some third one comes in. Kamaisu Shoyim Kach Shnia, Kamaisu Shnia Shlishis. So everyone, Kamaisu Shnia or Shlishis, they're all the same. Korsal, and they all read Hal when they did the Korban Pesachim. Garmut, they finished Hal one time. Shana, they said the second time. In Shana, they finished the second time. Shilsha, they said the third time.
Korsal, when they're reading the Hal during the Shechita.
Yeah, during the Shechita. Yeah. As opposed to what?
As opposed to the actual Zvicha. I mean, not Zvicha, the roasting of it.
No, that's much later, right? We're not out there yet. No, they wouldn't do it while they're roasting. Korsal, or at least we don't know that yet. If they finish once, they repeat it. If they did it twice, Shilshu, they did it a third time. Abel Pishlo Shushmi Lamaisa, they never finished 3 times in their life because they did it the various reasons. In fact, in the whole time that they had the third group did this, the third group was always very small. They never even got to the paragraph of Hafti and Halo. Hafti Gishma Hashem is Koli, Neisha Mor Moati, because there are very few people there for the Kat Shlishis. Tamatin, we learned over there, Yotzu v'achlu v'shasu. It says over there they used to go out and eat and drink. Uvo ben Arbaim, and this story about not by Pesach, I should make that clear. It fooled me the first time I did this too. Yotzu v'achlu v'shasu means if you came on a tinus. It's nothing to do with Pesach. You came on a tinus and you prayed for rain, and it rained before noon. So you go home and you eat and you drink, and then you come back to shul. Uvakoru Halo Gdola, they would read Halo, the great Halo. Ezu Halo Gdola, what is Halo Gdola? Rabbi Bechena said, Hodu Elokei Elokim. It's the Hodu we say Psukkah de Zimra Shabbos morning. That's Hodu Halo Gadol. Rabbi Yochanan Uvad Mishoni Beis Hashem. You have to start out from the paragraph before, which is in fact what we do. The paragraph of whatever it is, the first paragraph before Halo Hagodo. So I think it's how Luka Ali Nafshi Hashem. I'm probably making that up. Whatever it is. Haluka Alu es Hashem Hashem Alu Avdei Hashem Shoni Beis Hashem. Right, Tilim Kuflam. Hey, you have to say it before Kuflam Vav, which is Hodu Hashem Kitov and Hodu Elokei Elokim. They go together. Why is that? Lama Bilin Tanatim Parashas. So why these two parashas go together? Because Shmuel Bar Nachman says they should read us Geshamim Kosubem, because it says rain by both of them, and of course there's Hal and rain. And said Nechsi Malay Nesi Mikteoretz. It says in Kutil Kuflamei Malay Nesi Mikteoretz, which is Nesim is clouds. So bringing the clouds from the ends of the earth. Ukra Bechina Mekora Bechina. Only read Kuflam and Vav. Why only Kuflam Vav? Begam Vav Kuflam and Vav. Begin Nechsi, because it says there no si lechem l'chobasar kilam chasto. Of course, how do you get bad lechem l'chobasar? Only by rain. So therefore that mentions rain. That's sufficient. Rabbi Simon Tarvein, I mean, Hada Didon. Rabbi Simon both said on a tiniest afternoon, you don't say, when it rains, you don't say, Halo Agodo, this Halo over here, Hodel Hashem Kitov. Rather, you say our Halo, the Halo of Yontif. Rabbi Shurban Levi Amar Hada Didon, our Halo. Bar Kapora Amar Hada Didon, our Halo. Bar Kapora Kedaite, Bar Kapora is like his line of reasoning. What do you say? The Tzina we learned me a mea shel kash lishis logil afti ki yishma Hashem es kol tachnoi neisha moab muatin, because it had very few people. Tani Bar Kapora said this how which they used to say Zui Halo Agadoila. So we see the Halo Agadoila he holds is the Halo they used to say on Yontif. That's the same thing. Chad Bar Avyo, certain person named Bar Avyo. That's his name. Avar Kumei Tevusa, he went to daven before the Amud. Amar alone, so he said to them, Anin Basrai, answer after me, Ma Dana Amar, what I say. And that's how he said Halo. Everybody used to repeat it. It was repetitive. He would say something they were repetitive. Repeat it. So it says one very interesting thing. Amar Hadamara Leis Hadadidan. So it must be that Halo, Hagodo, which Baravaya went down to Amar on a tiniest afternoon after it rained. And that's he says how it goes. He says it must be this one of Hodul Hashem, because he told everybody to repeat, which means that they didn't know what was going on by themselves. They had to repeat it because it was our Hallel. Everybody knows our Hallel by heart. They don't have to repeat it; they'll know it by heart. So again, it says since he made them repeat it, Hadamar Leisa Dadidan. It's not our Hallel, but rather it's Hallel Hagodo. I guess they didn't say Psukkah Zimra Shabbos morning like we do, because otherwise they should be familiar with it, right? So, Raimon is the...
Why did you determine that it was Hodul Hashem?
Because it says Leisa Dadidan.
But it's not what we do.
Right.
It doesn't say what it...
Well, it's either or. I assume. Well, you mean it was a third thing?
I don't know. I'm just curious.
Those are the only two options in what I was giving. It's either Hadadidan or not Hadadidan. So I assume that's what Gemara is assuming. Yeah, whereas I'll give you another option.
I understand.
We say how it goes, either that or this. I understand you're saying, I empathize with your position, but I cannot accept it. Because the Yerushalmi would probably have to tell us that there's another option. That's what I think. So it says, no, that was different. There it's unique because it was a nasa. Now, according to the Mashbiach, brings down a girsa, which he likes, and Lieberman brings down the same girsa, but he dislikes it. The girsa which they bring down is nasha. It means there are a lot of women there. And women don't know the Hallel by heart. Women and Amaratzim. And they don't know Hallel by heart, so that's why he told them to read it responsively. It's like a women's prayer group, only it was led by a man. So that's how they read it. But Lieberman himself likes the Gersa of the Gemara, which is the way everybody explains it, that where it's a big nace, you say it responsibly out of the simcha. In the Haudi, that was a case of a nace, nasahava. It was a nace, and when it's a nace, it's a characteristic of simcha is that you have responsive readings. Okay, so that's why he did it that way. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm middle lane. Rav. It was a great miracle. Or according to the other girls, Nashava Rav. There are many women there. Right, either or. Begin K. Therefore, Amar Loni said to them, Anai Basran, Anim Basrai, answer Madano Amar, what do I say? Whatever I say, you say. Tani, we learned the last group to come in here. I saw Nikris Kasat was called the Lazy Bone group. Amar Rabbi Yavun, Ma'im Davish Mitzvaso. L'chein. If this case was a mitzvah to do it, you have to have three groups. It's a Masari, you have to have three groups. Nevertheless, Nikris Kama Kasat, the last group was called the lazy ones. Because they're lazy by coming last. But mitzvah, because it's because they're, Neshu Misatzel, I guess this is. The mitzvah achas kama, where it's a mitzvah, where it's not required to be late. In other words, they should be earlier. So in that case, achas kama, we call them lazy bones if they don't come on time. So here it's a case where and somebody had to be the third group, but they're called that slaughtering. Certainly people who could have come earlier, in a case where they don't, there is no requirement to have a latter group, that is certainly called out slave. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Same way they did on weekdays, did on Shabbos. On Shabbos, used to rinse the Azara, without Chachamim's permission. Rabbi Omer, at the end of the day, they would fill up a cup with the blood which was on the ground, and toss it on Mizbeach. Chachamim said you don't do that. Amar Rabbi Yonasan lo kol shvus yitir b'mikdash. Do you see in our Mishnah? Not every Rabban is mutter in the base of mikdash because they didn't allow them to rinse the floor, right? Because maybe you come to Ashvuye Gumos, right? To straighten out the holes, right? To smooth out. So Ketzra, how would they walk? There would be a wash in blood, right? They would be a wash in blood to their knees. Ketzra is what they do. Mistil, so they made them raised platforms in the ground, in the pavement to walk on. Tamati, we looked over there. Rabbi Yehuda Mechai b'dam tamtis. Rabbi Yehuda says if you eat blood, I think it's eating. 1 second. Yeah, if you eat blood which comes out of the body of an animal after the animal dies, you're chayiv. Okay, dam tamtis is chayiv. That's blood which comes after the animal dies. Rabbanan argue. No, that's the opposite. That's dam nefesh. Right? We want to say Rabbi Yehuda Mechayiv even on dam tamtis, the blood which comes out afterwards. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Lo riba so Rabbi Yehuda ela the koris asa." It's true you get koris on it, but it's not good for the avodah. Meaning, for the avodah in the base of mikdash, you need to have dafka dam hanefesh. That you put on the mizbeach. For the dam tamtis, however, you can be chayiv koris on that. Rabbi Chizkiah, Rabbi Avosh, Rabbi Yochanan also lo riba so Rabbi Yehuda ela koris. Tamna Rabbi Shem Rabbi Chizkiah masnisa. Okay. Over there, they say Rabbi Chizkiah and Bava, they say Rabbi Chizkiah, our Mishnah is medayik that a brisa. So it's not in our Mishnah. There's a brisa that the brisa says, Amalo, the Rabbanan said to him, how can you sprinkle 1 cup of blood at the end of the day? V'lo dam tamtzisu. It's blood which came out after shchita. V'dam tamtzis posel on mizbeach. Dam tamtzis is no good on the mizbeach. So we see clearly that they expected even Rabbi Yehuda to concede that dam tamtzis is not good on the mizbeach. You can't use it as part of the avodah. And furthermore, they said to him, furthermore, filling up this cup at the end of the day is not good for another reason. The blood which is on the ground, most of it is not niskabo b'kli. It's spilled out of the next to the animal directly. The dam shlo niskabo b'kli, posel megam mizbeach. It's not niskabo b'kli, you can't use it for the mizbeach. Once it's spilled on the once it's spilled on the ground without having first come to a keli, you can't use it. Maybe if it first come to a keli, the argument can be made that you could scoop it up and use it. But if it never got to a keli, how can you scoop it up just on the ground? That's no good.
Well, the spilling at the end of the day, I mean, that was a symbolic gesture. Was it for kapara?
No, it was for kapara.
For what? For all?
In case for spillage. Now, says Yerushalmi, eats the Rabbi Yehuda dam evato dam. Says Yerushalmi, that's not a taina. Says Rabbi Yehuda, and since it's not a taina, so therefore it's not a raya either. In other words, we want to read a bride. Rabbi Yehuda holds dam tamtzis is not mechaper, even though chayav koros on it, because they said to him it's dam tamtzis, and Rabbi Yehuda was silent. Says, well, it's not a raya. Rabbi Yehuda was silent because he didn't feel like responding. He obviously doesn't agree with the Rabbanan. I'll bring you proof. Because the Rabbanan said most of it is dam shenishbach, right? So it's no good. But that's still time Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda holds min b'mina lo batel. So he will respond to you, but the little bit is dam nefesh, and that dam nefesh is not batel dam tamtzis. That's l'shitas chem, that you say dam is mevatel dam, but I hold dam is not mevatel dam. So you can ask me a question, but he didn't answer. He didn't say that. Why didn't he say? Because he didn't care to answer. He ignored them. If he didn't care to answer, he ignored them. Maybe he disagreed with them also about dam tamtzis. He just didn't bother answering them, right? Kamoi leisei Rabbi Yehuda leisei hada. He just was makabel for them. In other words, he was silent. He didn't say anything. Can't leisei hada. So maybe he doesn't know this business, other business. Makabel and he just be makabel their abuse, but he really holds dam tamtzis is mechaber. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi B'Sher Chizah said, "Masisa Markein." Our Mishnah tells us. Now it's our Mishnah, I think. Tells us this that. What's our Mishnah? The dam tamtzis is possible from being on this beach. How so? Because ainly ela dama nefesh. No, it's following Bryce. It's not our Mishnah. Bryce says, "Ainli ela dama nefesh b'mukdashim." I only know that you're chayav on dama nefesh if you chayav on eating blood by dama nefesh by kochim. Why is that? Davar shuroy l'kapora, because maybe that's what the Torah forbade to drink, because it's suitable kapora. Minay dama nefesh b'chulin. How we know that dama nefesh by chulin? The dam tamtzis bein b'chulin bein mukdashim, and dam tamtzis both by chulin and by mukdashim you transgress to get kares. So tamulom are dam. V'chol dam shuetz lo nefesh u'masker apora. The word the Korban takes out the word of kol. It really isn't necessary. So it says the dam shuetz lo nefesh u'masker kapora. It says here in this brisa, dam nefesh is kapora, right? And then avo etzel dam tamtzis eino masker kapora. See that? It said in this brisa it says el dam nefesh u'mukdashim davar shuroy l'kapora. That what's mechaper dam nefesh by mukdashim, and we ask how you know the chayav koros also on dam tamtzis bein b'chulin bein mukdashim. So it's clearly a separate and distinct category that even by kochim, by your chayav koros on all of them. That's what this is going to say, that on all dam your chayav koros. Any dam regardless of what it is, that's Rabbi Yehuda's shita. But what is the dam which is mechaper in the Beis HaMikdash? Only the dam nefesh, not the dam tamtzis. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening.